This small collection of writings offers practical guidance from the ancient, universal knowledge of awakening in the internal worlds, otherwise known as dream yoga, lucid dreaming, astral projection, astral travel, or out-of-body experiences, OBEs. The purpose of this book is to empower you with the understanding and skills necessary to acquire your own direct experience of the worlds that exist beyond three-dimensional matter. As such, this is a teaching of Gnosis, a Greek word which refers to knowledge that one acquires through one's own experience, as opposed to knowledge we have heard or been told. Gnosis is the name of a timeless and universal teaching that has been present in many times and places around the world, appearing with different names and faces, but always teaching the exact science to awaken the consciousness. This book offers the essential instructions so that anyone, anywhere, regardless of any distinctions, may enter into their own direct knowledge of the living realities that surround us, yet remain inaccessible to the physical senses. It is natural to our consciousness to dream and imagine, yet these are merely the seeds of a greater ability that anyone can develop. In Asian traditions, this science is called dream yoga, derived from the Sanskrit root yug, which implies to join or unite. Dream yoga teaches how to take advantage of the dream state and utilize it for our spiritual advancement. Although interest in this subject is growing, there are many people who have been frustrated in their attempts to have their own personal experience of the internal worlds. Reading books or attending seminars usually leaves the seeker with more questions, doubts, and contradictions. To those persons, we offer the following quote: "We have given many clues in order to consciously travel with the astral body. So thousands of students have learned to travel in their astral body. However, we have seen in practice that those people who cannot quiet the mind, not even for an instant, who are accustomed to hopping from school to school, from lodge to lodge, always inquiring, always preoccupied, are not able to consciously astral travel." Samael Aun Weor, The Aquarian Message. Therefore, understand that this is a scientific, practical, and rigorous effort of working with the consciousness. Information is only useful when it is utilized in the right way. We need right effort. The average person faces two tremendous obstacles when investigating the nature of dreaming and out-of-body experiences. 1, a lack of effective methods, and 2, their own mind. With this book in hand, you have conquered the first step. Here you will find a series of exercises whose potency has been confirmed by thousands of students. These are not mere theories, they are formulae that lead to exact results. When you put these techniques into activity, the real work begins, the transformation of your own mind. This starts with the awakening of your consciousness here and now in the physical world from moment to moment. Without the effort to be consciously awake from moment to moment, dream yoga is impossible. Said another way, the techniques in this book will work for anyone who is making the effort to become consciously awake from moment to moment. But for those who remaining dreaming from moment to moment, all day and all night long, these techniques can do nothing. To awaken consciousness, we must stop dreaming, and this must be in each moment. When we are in the physical world, we must learn to be awake from moment to moment. We then live awakened and self-conscious from moment to moment in the internal worlds, both during the hours of the sleep of the physical body and also after death. Samael Aun Weor, The Elimination of Satan's Tail. In other words, if you learn how to awaken your consciousness here and now, then naturally you will awaken consciousness in the internal worlds. In this way, we make steady progress in the elimination of suffering, the understanding of the mysteries of life and death, and the fulfillment of our true reason for being. Chapter 1. Consciousness. People confuse consciousness with intelligence or with intellect. Thus, they qualify a very intelligent or intellectual person as a very cognizant person. Undoubtedly, and without fear of deceiving ourselves, we affirm that within a human being, the consciousness is a very particular means of apprehending internal knowledge and is completely independent of any mental activity. The faculty of consciousness facilitates the knowledge of ourselves. The consciousness grants us the integral knowledge of what is, where it is, what is really known, and what is certainly ignored. Revolutionary psychology teaches that only the individual by himself can know his own self. Yes, only we ourselves can know if we are or are not cognizant at any given moment. Only by oneself can one know about one's own consciousness and whether it was active or not at any given moment. Only the individual by himself, and nobody but himself, can become aware at any given instant, at any given moment, if before that instant, if before that moment, he was not really cognizant, that his consciousness was very asleep. Thereafter, he will fall asleep again and forget that experience, or will keep it as a memory, as the memory of a strong experience. It is essential to know that the consciousness within rational animals is not a continuous or permanent entity. Normally, the consciousness within these intellectual animals, mistakenly called humans, sleeps profoundly. Thus, the moments in which their consciousness is awake are seldom, very seldom. Yes, intellectual animals work, drive cars, marry, die, etc., with their consciousness totally asleep, and it awakens only in very exceptional moments. Sadly, the life of present human-like people is a life of dreams, yet they believe they are awake and will never admit that they are dreaming, that is, that their consciousness is asleep. If any of them were to suddenly awaken, he would feel terribly ashamed of himself. He would immediately comprehend his clownishness, his own buffoonery, since this life is frightfully ludicrous, horribly tragic, and seldomly sublime. If a boxer in the middle of a fight was to unexpectedly awaken, covered in shame, he would see the entire fascinated public, and then, before the astonishment of the sleeping and unconscious multitudes, he would flee from the horrible spectacle. When a human being admits that he has his consciousness asleep, you can be sure that he has already begun to awaken. The reactionary schools of old-fashioned psychology that deny the existence of the consciousness and that even declare the term useless reveal a most profound state of sleep. The henchmen of such schools snooze very profoundly within an utterly infraconscious and unconscious state. Those who confuse the consciousness with psychological functions, that is, thoughts, feelings, motor impulses, and sensations, are indeed very unconscious. They are profoundly asleep. Those who admit the existence of the consciousness and nonetheless utterly deny the different degrees of cognizance reveal their lack of cognizant experience. That is, they reveal their sleeping consciousness. Any person who, even for a brief moment, awakened his consciousness, knows very well by his own experience that different degrees of observable consciousness exist within oneself, namely, at first, time, how long did we remain cognizant? Second, frequency, how many times have we awakened our consciousness? Third, amplitude and penetration, what was one cognizant of? Revolutionary psychology and the ancient philokalia affirm that the consciousness can be awakened and made continuous and controllable by means of a special kind of super effort. A fundamental education has as its objective the awakening of the consciousness. It is worthless to expend 10 or 15 years of study in school, college, and university if, upon completion of our studies, we are sleeping automatons. It is no exaggeration to affirm that, by means of great effort, intellectual animals can become cognizant of themselves for a brief couple of minutes. Nonetheless, it is clear that, in regard to cognizance, there exist remarkable exceptions that we must seek with the lantern of Diogenes. These remarkable cases are represented by authentic human beings such as Buddha, Jesus, Hermes, Quetzalcoatl, etc. Yes, these founders of religions possess continuous cognizance. That is, they are great, enlightened men. Commonly, people are not cognizant of themselves, yet have the illusion of being cognizant in a continuous manner. This illusion is due to memory and all the processes of thought. For example, any individual who practices a retrospective exercise in order to remember their entire life can truly remember the number of times they married, how many children they begot, who their parents were, their teachers, etc. However, this does not signify the awakening of their consciousness. This is simply the remembrance of unconscious actions, and that is all. Here, it is necessary to repeat what we have stated in former chapters. There are 4 states of consciousness. 1. Sleep. 2. Vigil state. 3. Self-cognizance. 4. Objective cognizance. The wretched intellectual animals, mistakenly called humans, live only in 2 of these states, since they expend 1/2 of their life in their bed sleeping, and the other half in the wrongly called vigil state, which indeed is a sleepwalking state. Yes, the individual who in bed sleeps and dreams believes that he awakens by merely returning to the vigil state, but he continues dreaming, because for him, the vigil state is indeed a sleepwalking state. This is similar to daybreak. The stars seem to hide when the sun rises, yet they continue to exist, even when the physical eyes cannot perceive them. In normal life, the populace knows nothing about self-cognizance, and much less about objective cognizance. Nevertheless, people are proud, and everyone thinks that they are cognizant of themselves. Yes, intellectual animals firmly believe that they have cognizance of themselves, and they would never accept, under any circumstances, being told that they are actually asleep and that they live unconscious of themselves. Exceptional moments exist when the intellectual animal awakens, but these moments are very rare. This awakening can occur in an instance of great danger, or during an intense emotion, or in some new circumstance, or in some new unexpected situation, etc. Nonetheless, it is indeed a disgrace that the intellectual animal does not have any control over those fleeting states of awakened consciousness, and that he cannot evoke them in order to make them continuous. Nevertheless, these fundamentals of Gnostic education affirm that any individual can acquire control over his consciousness and thus attain self-cognizance. Yes, this revolutionary psychology has methods, scientific processes to awaken the consciousness.